All right, first of all, shout out to Four Color Zach and Good DJing. This finally came in. Dope drop. Copped a couple tees. Was excited to get this in the mail today. So, yeah, decided I'd wear it in today's video. But today's video is about the DJ mixer that changed my life. And that would be this guy right here. This is the Native Instruments Tractor Control Z2. This came out, over a decade ago. And this changed my life because it was the first DJ mixer that I purchased that had an audio interface built in. At this time, I had been using Serato for a few years, especially when I started gigging out because everyone was using Serato, so I had to learn. But I started on Traktor because Traktor was a lot cheaper than Serato was back in the day, at least back when you had to buy an audio interface like a SL1, SL3, SL4. So when I got the chance to have a mixer with a built-in interface, I figured, yeah, I could use Traktor at home still in practice, and bringing this out, I could always plug in a Serato interface if another DJ had to play with me. But the reason that this changed my life was, number one, how cheap it was. At this time, I think the only other mixer that was out that had an audio interface was the Rane 57, which was like double the price of this. The 61 and 62 might have been out already, but I don't remember. Either way, the 62 was like $2,000 and this was under $1,000. And I figured, well, I could always plug an audio interface in this and make this a Serato mixer. And also, this just had better pads. This was the first mixer that I can remember that had soft pads. If you're an older DJ, you remember the 57 had little tiny hard plastic buttons, and the 62 had hard buttons as well that were a little bit bigger, but those just didn't feel as nice as this. Now, the reason this really changed my life was the fact that I was, nerdy enough to map this to Serato. So this became my Serato mixer. Yeah, you still had to plug an audio interface into this, but even though by that point I already bought a SL1 off somebody, an older SL1, but I had these mapped to my cue points. And not only that, because it had all these extra little buttons, I had this mapped to different functions that I would use in Serato. So this allowed me to really develop my style. DJing wise, these buttons right here, I had mapped to beat jump for each deck, and that's become, a really important part of my DJing. Not only that, but making the YouTube video about how to map this to Serato and saving a mapping and putting it up for download way back in the day got me a lot of attention on YouTube and got me a lot more subscribers and people interested in my YouTube channel. So this piece of gear, I still have it. It's just up on the shelf now. I don't use it. It's just a nice piece to have around as a piece of my personal history. And overall, it's still a really good mixer if you're just DJing vinyl or something like that. Has filters, as well as 3-band EQ. And of course, this is still a great mixer to scratch on because it does have an innovator in it. It was one of the first mixers to really have an innovator built in stock, and just overall great. Also, if I remember correctly, this is the first mixer to have a USB hub built into it. And now that's pretty standard on things like the Pioneer S11, S7, all the newer Rane mixers like the 72 I have and that I use in my main setup. But this was pretty groundbreaking. because what this allowed me to do was have both Serato and Traktor plugged in at the same time. I wouldn't use them at the same time, but basically I could have my Serato box plugged into this USB port right here, and then just run this one USB to my computer in my home setup, and I could practice on either Serato or Traktor using this mixer and just open whichever software that I needed to use. And it's just super handy. And also, this thing is built like a tank. Metal construction all around. I really loved Native Instruments build quality on this. They did a great job. This thing still works. I haven't used it with Serato or Traktor. Actually, I used it with Traktor to do a video a while ago when Traktor Pro 3 came out, just to test it, because this is the only Traktor device I still have. But yeah, this thing is great. Now, would I spend the money to get one now? Probably not, especially because all the Serato boxes basically don't work, except for, I think there's a new one that came out recently. Reloop, I think, came out with one that could probably still work with this, and you could map Serato to this. But just a piece of history, man. If you're around that time, if you were around DJing when this came out, you remember DJ Craze's video with this, and everyone was freaking out because of the things he was doing. Being able to drum on these, using the sampler in Traktor to drum over his routine. I don't think many people were doing that at that time, or at least that was the biggest video that showcased that. And just overall, this thing is great. Yeah, I love this thing. I will never sell it just because of what it means to me personally. If you can find one on the low and you're looking for a mixer to cut on, this thing is still great. Super sharp cut in because of the Innovator. Sound quality is pretty good. Has all your outputs you need. XLR, 1/4 inch booth, RCA out. It's overall solid piece of DJ tech and a piece of DJ history. And while we're on the topic, to this day, I will say that at least until I stopped using this and using Traktor, Traktor had better sound quality than Serato. I think just like the limiter or whatever processing Native Instruments was using, I mean, probably because they were a software company that did a whole bunch of like effects and stuff, made Traktor sound really good, especially before like the SL3 and SL4 came out. I guess the SL3 was out, but before the SL2 and the SL4 came out, SL1 just sounded really thin and kind of crunchy, and that's more on Rain's side, I guess, because they were the ones handling the hardware. But yeah, man, I love this thing. It's great. If you've ever used one, you probably remember just how solid this was as a piece of gear. I love the fact that it still works after all this time, after being a decade old, and it really contributed to this YouTube channel and getting me a lot more eyes and letting me grow my channel and help more of you guys. So yeah, shout out to Native Instruments, shout out to the Traktor Z2, and I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video. Okay, bye.